Alright, today I'm going to sew a petticoat. We're going to start by hemming the longest bottom layer. I've already got one of the layers done. This petticoat is going to be a 3-tiered, 2-layer petticoat net petting in black. Petticoat netting petticoat in black. I've already got the bottom layer pieces sewn together. So now I get to hem a really long thing, so let's get going on that. My serger is set up to do a narrow rolled hem. I'm actually turning off the knife for this because otherwise the chain likes to drop off the edge of the netting because there's not a lot for it to grab onto. So we turn the knife off and we watch our edge very carefully. So this is going to take like 5 years, and hopefully the cat down here doesn't try to eat it. So here we go. And of course I didn't test this out first. Always test your serge seams. Make sure it's doing what you want it to do. This isn't too bad. This is Milo, by the way. He's leaving. And we're done with that. So now we get to gather all of this back up so it's nice and neat for when we go to gather it, which is a lot of fun. The next thing I'm going to be doing is sewing the second middle tier together, the long pieces together so that they're one big long piece. And then we'll do the top tier, and then we'll start gathering these all together, which will be fun. Alright, now we're on to sewing the next tiers together. Middle tier together. So for this one it only has 4 pieces, which is great because the last one had 8. So I got my little piles together, grab 2 pieces. Okay. No. When you're working with petticoat net, be ready for some frustration because it will stick to itself and everything else. Alright. Here we go. Alright, there is our one of our middle tiers. And I like to accordion fold them so they're relatively organized so that I can keep them in order. Since this is only a 2-tier, 2-layer petticoat, there's not as much to keep track of. But it still gets to be a hassle. Next one. And another one done. Now we're on to our really short, easy tiers. These are just 2 pieces. Okay, now that we have our tiers all sewn together and our bottom tier completely hemmed, because you don't want to try to hem it while it's gathered because that would just be a pain. Now we're going to set the serger up to do some gathering, which requires a gathering foot and differential feet. So if you don't have that on your serger, I'm not sure that you can gather with the serger pretty easily. Alright, so we're going to get to that. I keep saying we. I don't know why I do that. Okay. So we got a really long layer, our bottom layer on the very bottom. Next tier going in the top of the gathering foot. And now we have a beautiful mile long, it's not a mile long, it's about, where are we at? We're about 400 inches long. You can't see really how poofy this is. So now we're going to sew the top tier to the middle tier. Alright, I've got them all wrangled and in the right spot, so now we're going to sew our little bitty top tier to our nice and ruffled bottom and middle tiers. Beautiful. A little off. A little off. I'm wearing a black shirt now. You can't see anything. A little off, but half an inch. Not a big deal. So, now we have one layer of our 2-layer petticoat. Yeah. Now we get to do that again. And I've already got the bottom layer of that one hemmed, so I don't have to do that mess again. We're just gonna gather that one up off camera and come back, and then we'll sew them together and put a yoke on it. Alright, we're back. I'm in a different shirt because that last one was black and you couldn't see anything. So now we're going to sew our 2 very fluffy layers together. Get them prepped to sew in the round because they're still just one long big piece, it's not round. And then we're going to sew to the waistband, the lining, and the top layer. There's a lot of steps to petticoats, and this is just a 2-layer one. So I have my serger set with no knife again, rolled hem pretty tightly And we're just going to sew these together so that they stay together while we gather them for the waistband. Alright, 2 layers sewn together. Now what we're going to do is sew the ends together. So we're going to open this up so that seam we just sewed is in the middle. We're going to find our other end and then sew them together. Keep making sure all your seams again are still on the right sides so that when you turn everything, get everything done, it's all on the inside. Now we have a big old fluffy, roughly cylinder. Ideally not twisted because, again, annoying to remove. Serging, I usually just cut it off if I screw it up, but you can kind of get an idea of how poofy this darn thing is going to be when we're done. Poofy. Now I'm going to prep the waistband. Probably gather this a little bit on the serger. It's not going to double gather now that I have 2 layers of the petticoat netting because it is too thick. It won't do that. So I will probably gather it on the serger and then finish gathering it with a traditional method of gathering with a straight stitch and some pulling. So we'll get to that. Hey. Sorry, we got a little sidetracked and got a little bit further than I was planning on doing without recording. I am currently sewing the waistband and lining to the entire petticoat. This is my least favorite part because it generally involves lots of pins, as you can see, and lots of thread because I personally have not developed a machine way of gathering multiple layers of petticoat net together. My machine doesn't like it and I really don't want to do it by hand, so I fight it and I lose every time. So a lot of it was gathered, a lot of it I had to kind of evenly spread out as much as I could, and now we're sewing it together. Alright, starting to look a little bit more like a petticoat. Now, pretty much all we've got to do is actually sew that because I just basted it in, get rid of all of these threads, all of them, and then we have to turn the lining the right way, stitch a casing for our elastic and put our elastic in, and then we're almost done. And all that's left after that is hemming the lining. Hopefully this one has sound this time. So my last couple videos of sewing this petticoat didn't work, I guess. I don't know. So the petticoat's all finished except for the hem on the lining, and it is really bright in here and I can't get that to stop. Anyway, so sewed the casing for the elastic, put the elastic in, and that pretty much finishes it, like I said, other than the lining on the hem on the lining. And as you can see, it is a pretty full petticoat. And this is, again, only a 2-layer petticoat. You can obviously do as many layers as you want to get a much more full petticoat. This one gives a nice kind of, I call it like a hybrid bell A-line shape, because it's kind of both, instead of being the true bell where it starts out very full and then kind of just drops, or the true A-line where it's just straight. This sort of has a lot of fullness right at the hip and then slowly drops. I don't know. It's a hybrid, I guess. So there are many, many different things you can do with petticoats. You can change the shape of them by changing the length of your tiers. And you can obviously change the shape of them by adding more layers. The more layers, the more poof. The different lengths of the tiers, the different shapes you can get. And less tiers, there's so much you can do with the petticoats. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, or I'll link my my cosplay Tumblr in the description box so you can send me a message there. I hope this was helpful. I hope this wasn't too long and drawn out. I realize this is going to be like a 20-minute video by the time I'm done editing it. But I hope this was something you guys liked. If you want to see more of this, just let me know. I'll see you next time.